Good day, El Paso. Good day, YouTube. Your local junk caller here, Charlie, aka Dumpster Daddy, epdumpsterdaddy.com. Go ahead, check us out over there. We are here in the studio getting ready to fire up this content and got a couple of housekeeping notes that we want to get through before we start getting into the meat of what we want to talk about today. And what we're going to start doing on this platform, and if you have been paying attention, you saw we started it last week. Now, I want to do this daily show. I want to do this show daily, 5 days a week, and have it out to you guys by like 8 o'clock in the morning. Now, we're going to be late today. We're going to be late today. Today is January 19th. 2026, the year of our Lord. We're filming this content, and since it's pre-recorded, we're going to have to film it the day before and then get it out to you guys. But we're going to have it as much relevant content as possible. I'm working on structure, putting together a structure that fits what we need to do here at Dumpster Daddy in order to get this content out to you guys when it comes to the daily vlog, when it comes to my morning monologue, and when it comes to this content here. I have my calendars, my wall calendar, and then I also have my calendar that I keep on the on my all my devices that tells me what we got going on for the day, especially when it comes to job wise. So now I'm going to start putting in my recordings, the times that I need to get in here and record, times that I need to get in there and start breaking things down and making things a little bit smaller, the long form content a little bit smaller, so that we can start distributing that out as well. We're looking at content creation as a business. So 5 days a week, we will be filming this content. When it comes to my day in the life vlogs and all of that type of stuff, we'll be filming that daily, but we'll be putting that out a week later so that I can make sure that we have all of the everything scheduled to go out at a certain time, and we are good to go there. I was talking to a gentleman yesterday, and me and him have been in talks for a little while. We been going back and forth. He actually called me out to do a small pickup at his house, but as it turns out, he wanted to talk to me about some business advice and what he is planning and what he is thinking of doing when it comes to social media. And like I said, we're looking at social media as its own entity now. We're still looking at it as a way to drum up business for Dumpster Daddy, but we're looking at it as its own business. We want to start being a little bit more structured when it comes to what we're showing you guys. And so when I was talking to this gentleman, he was letting me know what he wants to do, and he was a little bit concerned that he's not ready to step out and display his skills, or he doesn't feel ready because he hasn't done enough to he doesn't feel like he's done enough to make an impact on the business. And I told him, I was like, sir, we can go ahead and we can use Dumpster Daddy as your testing ground to go out here and learn what it is that you want to do when it comes to your business and how you want to structure your business when it comes to content creation. He wants to do reels and things like that. And I remember telling you guys that I'm looking at somebody who can come in and help me do some creative reels that will target different clientele. We want to target realtors. We want to target property managers. We want to target business owners who might need, junk removal. We want to target all those people. We're targeting realtors because they know people who are selling homes who may need to get rid of some stuff. So realtors, property managers, whether they are apartment property managers or commercial building property managers, we want to get those people on a team. So when it comes to targeted social media campaigns, I tell them we can work together on that. I prefer to make long form content, and then we can chop it up, and I have an AI program who can chop it up and put it into social media reels formats and distribute it out that way. But when it comes to targeted campaigns, I said we can work together on some things. So we're going to get together with him, and we're going to start brainstorming and seeing what we can and cannot do, what we can and cannot do. But also content creation. This is an entity in its own right where it can take over a lot of your time, and it has taken over a lot of my time, and for the good, because it has forced me, in order to be able to go out here and give you guys something that is of substance, something that is of value. It has upped me. It has made me up my education, my own personal development. I've been spending a lot of time in different business books, just sourcing different material. As you guys know, I spent a decade, a little bit more than a decade, at the Walt Disney World Company, being in leadership, doing the internships and college program, and also a management internship, and then being on with the company for 10 years. So I have spent some time revisiting some books that have helped me, and have helped me not understand, but re educate myself, or what is it called, continuous learning, or whatever it is, on how Disney started their training programs, how Disney did what they needed to do to get the culture, or the morale up during tough times of the business. I'm also taking a look at my man Dan Cockrell, his book, and I have all of his dad's books too, and I have another book by him. But how's the culture in your kingdom? And that book, he used to be my executive, my not vice president, or president of it was Hollywood Studios when I was there, and then he got moved over to the Magic Kingdom while I was there as well. And I enjoyed watching him do his thing. He's a good leader. So I picked up his books or his book right here, to start diving into seeing how he navigated his career and what he's doing now when it comes to uh, having his own business, his own entrepreneurship business, and how he's relating his Disney experience to what he's doing now. And then, of course, since we are in the junk removal community, Brian Scudamore, and I lost the cover for it, but Willing to Fail, I have to find it. I got his book and been studying and deep diving and taking notes into all of these different business books, so that we can have something of substance to talk about here on Dumpster Daddy, and how we are building our business and managing our operation. Even though we are still one man, one truck, one trailer, we do have hopes of growing. I say I got to get over my trust issues, but we do have hopes of growing the business one day in the future. We are 5 years into the business here now, and so we are looking at growth. While we are here on this channel, and we're doing this day, not this daily show, there's a couple of things that I want to focus in on. Of course, we want to focus in on junk removal as the business itself. We're going to take a look at finance, because in business, if we are not managing the money, the what's coming in and what's going out, we are not doing what we need to do to put money away for our retirement, then we are losing. Going to take a look at entrepreneurship and businesses, other entrepreneurs out there doing their thing. We did a segment on a laundromat owner last week. We're going to find a whole bunch more businesses out here that are creating, not just in the junk removal space, dumpster rental space, but in any space that we find value, that we could pull value from, and inject it into our community, our junk removal community, our entrepreneurship community, whatever. We're going to look at jobs, job losses, job creation, and then one of my favorites, what's going on out there in the tech world. So that's the rundown of what we plan on doing for this daily show. What we're going to be looking at, is a number of things. I don't want to be pigeonholed into just one general topic. I want to be able to go and explore different topics, get some expertise from other people, and see how we can apply that, if it can be applied to our business. And if not, we'll just share it with the world, and then you guys can use it or do with it how you feel. Got my notes over here, got my other screen over here, and I got my studio screen right here. So if I'm, see my eyes bouncing all around, that's why. But I want to make sure that I'm focused on you guys, looking directly at the camera. Going through my list. We got some fictional books that we're going to be looking at, like I said, to break up some of the monotony of me reading all of the business books. We got Bible study. We're going to get my church's YouTube Bible channel back going, Blessed Ministries. I haven't been focused on it because I've been coming up with structure for just my Dumpster Daddy channel. But when I started this business, I told the Lord, I said, you help me out with this business. You gave me the knowledge that I need to do to go out here and grow a business and create my own job. And whatever I learned from it, I'm going to put in to the church. So that is what the plan is ultimately to help out the church as well, help the YouTube channel for the church grow, help bring some visibility to what we got going on over there. So that is it. That's what we got on the docket. Spent about 10 minutes on that. I'm going to check it out, make sure I wasn't just rambling, but that is what we got going on for the Dumpster Daddy show. Now let's get into, you ready to get started with the show. And if you made it this far, like I said, I got to start saying this a lot more. Like, comment, and subscribe. Like, comment, and subscribe. If you hear you made it this far, you made it through the housekeeping notes, what we got planned, what we planning on, what we got going on here at Dumpster Daddy, then please like, comment, and subscribe. We will look forward to hearing from you and seeing what your thoughts are and hearing what you have to say about what we are planning here. All right, folks. So I was going through my vlogs and putting together some of my vlogs for the week, and I noticed that there was a common theme in most of them. Let me turn my fan on. It's getting a little hot. Oh. I noticed the common theme. Give me a second. Had to give it some juice. But I noticed a common theme, and that common theme is and was how slow it was last week. I saw a lot of people in the Facebook groups, the junk removal Facebook groups, talking about they're not getting any clients. What can we do to book more clients, book more jobs? And the fact of the matter is, it's just slow. It's slow all around. We started the month off with a bang. Our residential clients was calling, we're going out, giving estimates. We were winning jobs. We were doing big projects. We did a shed knockdown. We did a partial home clean out. We were removing large pieces of furniture. And then last week, everything just slowed down. Even the commercial clients stopped. They didn't really reach out to us until about Wednesday. And slow. And I want to get in here and I want to do a quick reaction video to my man Richard, who is talking about the slow time in junk removal. And it's not like Dumpster Daddy hasn't seen this before, because when we first started the business, nobody knew who we were. So we were out pounding the pavement, as I would say. We were out putting out our digital collateral, posting to the Facebook groups, the neighborhood Facebook groups, the next door Facebook groups, posting all over our socials, making sure that we were visible. And that is something that I decided that we need to getting back to the basics of kicking up our content, making sure that people see us, know who we are out there. Because when they are ready to buy, or when they are ready to come out and start having some trash removed, junk removed, getting places ready for sale, getting places ready to move out, or just want to get peace of mind because they want to get rid of all of the trash that has, or some of the junk, because a lot of people, I don't want to call it trash, but a lot of the unwanted items that people have accumulated over some time, we want to be ready to go. So let's get in here real quick and see what my man Ricardo has to say about the slow times. And I'm going to chime in and share my thoughts with you guys as he gives his, and we'll see if we can't, I don't want to spend too much time on it. This is about a 25-minute long video. And I want to spend about 15 minutes on it. Maybe we'll spend a little bit longer if we get in here and it start getting good to us. But I want to make sure we spend a little time with Ricardo, because when he is giving junk removal advice, when he's not focused on any of his other businesses, his haunted house and whatever else he got going on, and when he is focused on giving junk removal advice, sometimes to me it's invaluable. It's good advice. Almost 20 years in the game, doing it as one man, one truck, one trailer, or however many vehicles he has. For a person who is in our position, who does it one man, one truck, one man, one trailer, one dumpster truck, or whoever it is, and you don't have employees, to me, his advice is good. So let's get in here, dive in real quick, and see what Ricardo has to talk about and has to say about the slow season.
Like my videos? Good morning. There's a group of people out there that are hasty about my videos, that are just don't like me. Just because I do things differently. I don't follow the yellow brick road. Avoid the pitfalls of junk removal, the phenomenon of business owners and what they do. Let's get into this video right now. My name is Ricardo. I'm owner of Junk Guys DFW here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. I have other locations located across the U.S., and I also own 2 haunted houses here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. But I want to get into this video. I want to talk about the pitfalls to avoid during slow times and the phenomenon that junk removal owners do during these slow times. It's like business has been doing so good for the last 2 to 3 years for these business owners that just got into it. The advice that I'm going to tell you right now is going to be so vital for y'all. So pay attention, please pay attention. Jesus Christ. If there's anything that I do say is I give attitude, I talk about people, but here's some good advice. When slow times happen like this, and this has never happened to me in the 19 years I've been in business, what's going on right now with the economy and how junk removal has slowed down so significant. I want to tell y'all, well, that door's not closed. Okay, I want to tell y'all, don't hit the panic button. Slow down. Here's what business owners are going to do, and this is when the SEO industry, the website builders, the lead companies take advantage of us. When we're vulnerable and we start worrying and we're all like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I've only done 3 jobs all week.
Now, I don't know if you guys noticed, but last week my phone was ringing. It wasn't ringing with residential clients, but it was definitely ringing with a lot of people offering SEO, a lot of people offering to redesign our website. Now, I will admit, I need to spend a lot more time on the website, doing the blogs, updating the pictures, making sure that we have relevant content on there to make sure we stay up in the algorithm to help us reach our desired goal of being at the top of the first page of Google when people are looking for junk removal here in El Paso. But we have had a lot of different companies who want to come in and say that they can or offer their help for us to, boost our YouTube content or boost our social medias when it comes to Instagram and Reels and Facebook and things of that nature. Like I told you guys before, I prefer to work with people who are here in El Paso first, and then, people who are from this country. A lot of people have been calling and they are from a different part of the world, and I'm just not with that at the moment. Now, as we grow and we can become international, then we'll see what we can do from there. But as of right now, I need to see you. I need to shake your hand. We need to have a conversation face to face in order for us to decide if we're going to work together or not.
This is when it happens right now. And I know there are a lot of people out there hurting for business. I know there is. So don't sit there and go, I did really good. No, dude, you did good yesterday. You didn't do good. You're not going to do the good this week. You didn't do good last week. You did good maybe a day ago or something, right? So I don't want you to panic. Here's what they do. These SEO companies know exactly when it gets slow. These lead companies know exactly when they get slow. And you know what they do? Pick up the phone and they call you and they say, hey, give us 3 to 6 months. You're not ranking on the top page of Google. We'll fix that for you. I'm going to tell you, as an expert in SEO and being ranked on the first page of Google multiple times, it is impossible to be on the first page of Google after 3 to 6 months. Impossible. And
Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. That people call us all the time and say we can get you to the first page of Google or your website isn't ranking. We did purchase a website from a website builder here, a custom built website. And it was money well spent, in my opinion, because I told you guys all in on junk removal when figuring out what my next move was, when the company let us go in 2020, when Disney let us go in 2020, figuring out my next move. I invested my severance into the truck and into the business and into myself. And then me and my wife got together and we said, after, what was it, about a year and a half, 2 years in the business, we said, we need a professionally done website. I was using GoDaddy and it was okay. But I wanted to be able to focus on the business and not necessarily focus on taking care or building out a website. So I had them do that for me. Now it was on me to maintain it. If I want to pay them to maintain it, like to update pictures and things like that, they'll do it for a fee. But the website is built. We rank high on the first page of Google, but it took us a while to get there. And I understand what Ricardo is saying. Like, it's hard to do it within 3 to 6 months, 6 months to a year, or whatever, unless you are paying to be at the top there. Now, we do have a couple of guys who do pay to be at the top of Google here in El Paso. They sponsor ads and all that stuff, and more power to them. But we have chosen to use social media as our SEO, as our tactic to get visibility to what we got going on here in El Paso when it comes to junk removal, and now doing our show and sharing our thoughts across the board when it comes to different topics.
It does happen. It's because they're paying their way to get up there. But organically, it's just impossible to be up there. I know it is. I've done it. I want to explain something to you. These companies that will pay that you're going to be paying $1,000 and get into a 6 month to a year contract, that you're just paying them. Bro, I'm going to tell you, that's the worst thing you can do. Stop panicking. And then you're paying for a lead. They have more contractors than they have leads. They have more companies signing up during slow times than they have leads to give away. So the leads are premium leads. Now you got to pay a really good price for them. And that's the frustrating part. You got to pay.
And got it because they're premium leads, because nobody, like, the market is not flooded with people looking for junk removal right now. I've said it before in some of my vlogs. January was usually a pretty decent month for us when it came to residential and commercial. But this January, especially this past week, it has been slow. And if memory serves me correct, February will also be a slow, dragging month, unless things flipped, unless January is going to be slow and then February is going to pick up. But usually February is slow. We're picking up stuff in January because people are getting rid of all of the holiday stuff, getting rid of the Christmas trees, got a bunch of stuff that accumulated during that time, and we come out and get rid of it. Now February, slow motion. Going into March, and March, April, when spring break hits and spring is right around the corner, people want to do all that spring cleaning. That's when we start picking up, and then it's like balls to the wall until the end of fall, when the kids go back to school. So anyway, I talked about some of that stuff in my last talk, or my last video, my last Dumpster Daddy show. You guys can go back and look at that if you want. Let's get back in here with Richard.
They take advantage of us companies. Why? We've hit the panic mode. Oh my God, we're slowing down. But you know what? You could have prevented this by cutting your expenses. Avoid the pitfalls of this business. Here's something else that business owners do. You know what, man? Junk removal is not working out for me, but I'm going to do this. I got a better idea. I'm going to buy a truck and do hot shots. I'm going to buy a dumpster and do dumpster rentals.
Yeah. Now, I told you guys, we are strictly a junk removal company. We don't do landscaping. I tried one time to cut somebody's hedges, and I ended up butchering those things. Even went out after that, bought a hedge trimmer, and only use it for, if my in-laws need it. And every now and then, sometimes a person who is moving out of a property might need some hedging. And I really bought it for the Union Pacific, and they haven't called me out because they found somebody else who can do what they need done for cheaper. And I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad at them at all, because I prefer to do strictly junk removal, trash removal. If you got stuff that you're trying to get rid of that you no longer need, you call me, I'll come and get it. But when it comes to landscaping, roofing, what he said, hot shots, tow trucking, all of that type of stuff, that is not what we do here. We are strictly focused on one business aspect when it comes to the operation of Dumpster Daddy Junk Removal, and that is junk removal. We're moving into, or going to be taking a bigger market share of the digital space, But when it comes to going out there and doing what we do, we strictly junk removal. We don't offer any other services outside of the realm of helping you get rid of trash, junk, and reclaiming your space.
I know what I need to do. I need to put logos on my truck. I need to spend more money to make more money, because right now you got to spend more money to make it. On that shit, it's not going to work. I'm tell you why it's not going to work. Because your business is slow. The wood business is slow. The roofing business is slow. The plumbing business is slow.
I was telling my wife when I went to the landfill a few times earlier in the month, it was quiet. I mean, usually there's lines. All of us truck and trailer guys are taking up a lot of space trying to get our loads off, along with the big guys, the big dumpsters, and of course, the residential guys, the guys who pick up the weekly trash. When I went there, there was a few truck and trailers, and then there was, of course, the larger residential trash trucks pickups, but even some of the big guys, some of the big dumpster rental guys weren't there because of, business is really slow. Roofing is slow, construction is slow, remodeling is slow. We're waiting on the economy to rebalance itself, however it's going to rebalance. And then, once that happens, we should be rocking and rolling. But for right now, it's slow.
This is pretty funny. I'm gonna tell you a really side hustle that someone tried to tell me the other day. So I needed somebody to spray some closed cell foam in my container home. I needed a company to spray some. I call this company and I give them the measurements of everything. And they come back to me and they say to me, hey man, well, here's your estimate, $1,700. We have a 3-week wait time. And I said, whoa, y'all have a 3-week wait time? And they go, yeah, man, we're just really busy right now.
I'm gonna tell you this, that's bad business. Bad business right there. 3 weeks for somebody to wait for a service. Now we offer same day and next day service. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. If the trailer is full and I can't get to somebody same day, I will push them to the next day, to after we can get to the landfill to dump off whatever we got and get out there. But if that trailer is empty, like it is today, and I do have the work phone on me, and it is on, and if somebody calls me today, I will go out there and give them same day service. But if not, we are ready to rock and roll. But we are never pushing a client out 3 weeks. As most as we push a client out is because we're out of town, and if they are willing to schedule that time for a week out or whenever we get back in town, because I'm not gonna lie to you guys, there has been times when me and my wife have flown in the day. It'll be, we came home from Chicago or California or whatever, and we land at 12. I have booked clients for 3 o'clock. And I'm sweating, making sure we get to the airport on time, making sure the plane lands. As soon as we get to the plane, we don't do check bags. We carry on, get right to the car, and I'm getting to the yard and getting right to the client's house, getting in my truck, getting right to the client's house, because we want to make sure we service the client right then and there as soon as possible. As much as somebody has booked out, and this is the clients, they've done it themselves. They booked out 3 weeks to 4 weeks out because of they want to make sure they have somebody on schedule for when they're ready to move out of their property. They're getting a storage unit. They got a storage unit that they need to get cleaned out, and or whatever else, whatever other type of business they got going on, they might book us out. But we as the business owner, never booking somebody out 3 weeks. We making sure we get that job done the same day or next day. I had a client, she called me out, had a shed removal. She wanted some cypress trees knocked down, and I gave her an estimate, and it might have been a little bit too heavy for her, but because I came ready to do the job, I came with the tools and equipment ready to knock down and cut down these trees and knock down this shed. We were able to land that job after she had to go in conference with her husband. We were able to land that job because we were ready to rock and roll. Now, if she had decided that she wanted to wait, get a couple of more estimates, see what it's going to take to get that job done for a little bit cheaper, she could have did that. But because she valued her time and wanted that job done immediately, and we were there ready to do the job immediately, we landed that gig. Now that's how you do business. Waiting and putting somebody 3 weeks out, and if it's not their own plan, that's not a good look for the business.
And I said, oh, really? I said, this is weird, man, because you're the only industry that's busy right now. That's kind of weird, isn't it? He goes, yeah, well, we stay really, really busy. He starts telling me that his spray foam business is so busy, they're 3 weeks out. And I told him directly, I said, man, you're lucky, brother, because, the plumber was slow. The electrician I hired was slow. Everybody came out the next day to start doing the work. And he goes, yeah, no, we're 3 weeks out, man. I said, that's crazy because every industry is slow except y'all. Congratulations, y'all are making millions of dollars. He goes, yeah, we're doing pretty good. And I said, okay, cool, man. I said, listen, I got somebody that can do this job by the end of Friday, it's this Friday. And he said, oh, really? And I said, yeah. He goes, well, listen, brother, y'all are the same price. I'm just going to go with them if you understand. I need to get it done. You know what this guy says? He goes, hold on one second. Let me call you back. I said, oh, okay. Let me get things up. He calls me back and he says, you know what, man? We have an opening on the schedule for Thursday.
Amazing. Isn't that amazing how that happens? You got somebody else to come out and do the job. Now, yesterday, what was it? Yesterday or Saturday? It was Saturday. Me and my wife, we had a busy day. Went to a UTEP women's basketball game. I was up early doing my thing on social media. Had a couple of clients that were national clients that was reaching out to me. They wanted some work to get done on that Saturday. Come to find out, we weren't able to do it, but we were up early because they're on the East Coast. They're on East Coast time. And, I was up reading their emails and responding to their emails around 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. We do all that, come home. I decide that I want to take a nap. I need to rest my eyes a little bit so that I can get up, start doing some other stuff. During that time, the phone rang and I didn't pay attention to it. And I missed that phone call. And then I sent a message to the client about 30 to 45 minutes later. And guess what? They don't need the service no more because I was too late in picking up the phone. Now I need to, if my wife is available and I decided I want to take a nap, I should hand the phone off to her. And because she knows the spiel, she knows how to go ahead and lock in the client. She knows she listens to me talk to clients all the time, and she knows how to book things on the calendar. So I should have gone ahead and asked her to hold the phone for me for a few hours while I could get some rest, but I didn't, and we missed out on booking that job. So those are lessons learned. If you miss the call, you're going to lose the job. They're going to go to the next one down the line. If you try to book people out 3 weeks out, we're going to find somebody who can do the job immediately, and we're going to get it done that way. So that's business. We got to get it while it's hot.
What happened with the 3 weeks out, man? You know what they were doing? I'm going to tell you. In 3 weeks, they'll have more money to buy more foam, to do more jobs. And it's not that they're busy. They're consolidating the money. They're seeing where they can lay it and where they can put it so they can be more economical, not just take every job. And I told him this. I said, hey, brother, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I already hired that other company. And the whole thing about y'all being 3 weeks out, what a bad sales ploy, man. I would never do that, dude. So, hey, give you a little advice. He hung up on me. But trying that crap right there, that's just not going to work. That's just not going to work.
That's bad business. That is bad for business. That is bad business, period. And also, like, he hung up on him, and he hung up on the client. Now, he wasn't probably ever going to get Ricardo as a client ever, but, to hang up on him, hey, man, we go ahead. We can end this conversation. I really don't need your advice. Thank you for the opportunity. We apologize. We weren't able to service you. Just go ahead and move on that way. But, to hang up on him, I mean, maybe Ricardo's the type of guy you want to hang up on if if you don't like what he got to say. But I enjoyed listening to his stories and his commentary.
My advice to you is to save your money. Do not do what business owners do and go buy a shiny vehicle thinking, or go and wrap their truck. Oh, here's one for you. Here's one for you. During slow times, don't do this. All right, here's one for you. Don't go buy new business cards and flyers, and don't go buy door hangers or yard signs. Don't start filling up every neighborhood with yard signs. Don't do that.
Now, I agree with that. The yard sign spot, because spot that he just talked about. I do have a bunch of door hangers that I need to get out. I probably will not be buying those again. I will keep business cards. Business cards seem to be especially if you're doing business with other business people, they love handing you cards. They always ask you, do you have a card? So I keep those cards on me, and I am and have landed jobs from people who, I was running across all the cards that I got, and I saw yours, and I decided to call you to come out. Door hangers. Although we still have about 2,000 door hangers left, the door hangers have already paid for themselves. We've landed jobs off of those and have gotten repeat clients off of those. So we're going to get back to doing that. Yard signs is like throwing your money in the trash here in El Paso. I don't see how maybe these We Buy Houses people have a massive budget for yard signs, but the city goes through and they pick those up, and I've seen them at the landfill when I go do when I need to go drop off my loads. I've seen them, piles of them at the landfill. So that is like putting your money into the landfill itself, buying yard signs. Now here in El Paso, we can use yard signs, but we have to put them in an A-frame, and they have to, be that way. You have to, you can put them out early in the morning, and you can pick them up later in the day. Now, when I was on the west side of El Paso, I didn't have a problem with that. We put them out. I was able to put them out early in the morning, go, later in the evening, go pick them up. For some reason, when we moved over here to the east side, maybe I put them on the wrong gas station. Maybe this gas station didn't appreciate it. But when I went back later in that day, my yard sign, my A-frames were gone. So I do have 2 more, and I need to get over, the fear of putting them out, because, I spent some good money on them and I don't want to lose them. But it is what it is. This is business, and we got to make sure that we keep on charging forward. But I agree with him. Spending money on certain collateral is not necessary. I am going to probably look at making some flyers and mailing those out, but that's going to be a different strategy for you guys, and we'll talk about that in later vlogs.
You don't want to do that. No. Because you're just going to blow money on this. When it's slow, it is slow. Everyone's slow. Even the lead companies that have more contractors than they have leads. And they will charge you a premium price for those leads. And since you're so slow and you're in that panic mode, because you've never been in this situation, you've never owned a business. The reality is you never own a business. You don't know how to react. You don't know the ups and downs of this business. You've never held $10,000 in your hand. You never have. Don't say you have when you haven't.
And a good thing about working in retail, working with, with money, is you get to handle money. You get used to handling it, even though it's not yours. And don't think that you can get away with pocketing some of it, because you will get caught. We had people who tried to do that when we was working at Disney, and I had to walk a few people out because, they were caught stealing. But you get used to handling money. I grew up, my dad had me in all different types of environments that handled money. We were at the church. Some of the people and the men at the church, women at the church, own their own businesses. We went to go see how they operated. We saw how and got comfortable with handling large sums of money. When I was with my man Frank at the shoe store, I was his right-hand man for a little bit there, and I had to handle large sums of money for, a small shoe store, brick and mortar shoe store. But when we moved into the Walt Disney World company and got into retail and business that way, massive amounts of money we were handling daily. And you get used to it. You kind of get numb to it, because, it's not your money. It's what you need to do. It's the lifeblood of the business, is what we need to do to make sure that, when guests come in, they, if they're paying with cash, we got cash to give back to them. So, and then at the end of the night, when we had to count up all the tills and make our deposits and things like that, we're handling large sums of money. So you got to get used to it, because once you get it in your own business, then you'll be looking at how can you hold on to it more so than how can you, spend it. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. When the money's good, I am doing my best, because I am a spender. I am doing my best not to spend it all. We got to put some away for the slow times, for the times right now, and we're also putting stuff away for the future. But you got to get comfortable handling money, so that when you finally get it in your hands, it's not burning your hands or burning a hole in your pocket because you're trying to get rid of it. Put it somewhere where it's going to be nice and safe.
The reality is money is new to you. This business is new to you, so you get all nervous. And what do? You go wrap your truck. You go buy an SEO package. You sign a contract for a year, and there's $1,000 getting out of your bank.
$1,000 a month. That's $1,000 a month, and if you're not making that money, uh, you know that's going to hurt. I have a little radio station here that we're going to do a little bit of advertising on for the I don't know, what is it, veterans, or it's something coming up. They want to do something to recognize the veterans in February, and I decided that I wanted to go ahead and be a part of it. Now I'm going to owe these people some money, and the problem that I'm having right now is that there is no money coming in to pay for it. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do, if I'm going to have to call and cancel this thing, or if I'm going to roll with it and just pray that some money's going to come in so that we can pay them. But it's not a large sum of money, but it's still money that I could use and probably use somewhere else. But we'll see. We'll see.
And it's impossible for them to do anything to your website in 3 to 6 months. Why would you be ranked on the first page of Google in 3 to 6 months if business is slow anyway? Why? It makes no difference. Business is slow. The reality is that most companies are going to watch this video because a lot of people watch these fucking videos. And they're going to say this: oh, Ricardo doesn't know what I'm talking about. Ricardo, okay, then dude, fuck. I've been in this business 19 years. Oh, bro, 19 years, 2 decades almost. What's 20 years called?
2 decades.
A century is 100 years. What's 20 years called? Do you know? Sometimes the frustration of this business and what other business owners do, they get off the truck as they get comfortable, and they let their drivers go drive around town doing 100 miles per hour. I did tell you about that 1-800 junk truck that drove by me doing about $1. I was doing 75. This boy flies by me doing about $1. He just 100 miles per hour.
That's why I told you guys, trust issues. I got trust issues when it comes to having this equipment and putting some people behind the wheel of it. I've seen a lot of guys out here who got trucks, and who got the companies, I should say. I've seen a lot of companies out here who got those big old trucks, the Mack trucks and things of that nature. They're CDL hauling heavy material, and maybe you could trust those guys. But when it comes down to putting somebody in equipment that's in my business, I have to learn to separate myself from I am the owner. But when it comes to putting people in the equipment and trusting them with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment, it's I have a blockage there. And I was talking to one of my homeboys who got his own business, and he was saying the same thing. We know that people are capable of doing the job. It's just that this is ours, and we have, this is our business. We're the owners, and putting some people or putting somebody in charge of something is really hard. But in order for us to grow, we're going to have to get there. But we're not getting there just yet. I'm not off the truck, and I don't plan on coming off the truck for a while. I'm doing what I can to keep my body in shape. I've hurt my hand, and it's getting better, but I need to do better at maintaining my body so that we can do these jobs and get things done. But I'm not coming off the truck. I'm not trying to put people in the truck. I'm not really there to where I can pay somebody, to do the job yet.
I'll tell you what to suggest, and I'm glad you asked, Jeffrey. Here's what you do. Save your money. Save your money, Jeffrey. Save your money. Right now is the time to save your money. Stop spending money. Jeffrey, stop worrying about the jobs you're not getting. Stop worrying about that. Cut the umbilical cord of expenses right now, because that's what's hurting you. You know what's hurting you, Jeffrey? Not you personally, Jeffrey, just the industry. It's the expenses that we have. It's killing us. Let's say this, Jeffrey. Let's say this. Let's say you have 3 vehicles, 2 vehicles, whatever. But right now you're only using one of the vehicles. Okay? Sell one of the vehicles. Get rid of the other vehicle. And if you owe on it, return the vehicle. There's no shame in that. And if you can't return the vehicle, negotiate with the lender. Tell them, hey, shit's not working out. The insurance is too much. Stop. You know how to get that vehicle picked up? Stop paying insurance on that vehicle. They'll pick it up. Oh, yeah. They'll pick it up. And then you'll cut your expenses on that vehicle and then insurance. Okay.
Now we went out when the F-150 died. I went out and bought a brand new vehicle because I didn't want to have any issues. I could have went in and got another truck from the same spot that we got the F-150 from, but went in all in on the business and bought a F-250 to go ahead, handle big heavy loads and jobs for us, and something that's reliable. And if anything goes wrong with it, I take it right to the dealership and they will fix it for me. They'll take care of it for me. Got the extended warranty on it, and we negotiated all that type of stuff. And so if I'm down a truck, I am now closer to an enterprise, a truck rental spot, commercial truck rental spot that will, for maybe $100. I think what I spent like $140, maybe somewhere in there, $100 to $140 a day to rent that truck. If I got a big enough job, that'll take care of it. I would much rather have my workhorse, but if I need to, there is a contingency plan to make sure the business keeps running. I don't have any extra trucks yet, but as we keep growing the business, maybe I'll get another one. But I want to move into the professional side of junk removal, and that would be getting some type of a NPR or something along that line.
It is slow right now. Stop spending money on Google ads and Google leads. Do the things that built this business for you. I'm going to tell you what you need to do. Go to old school. Start posting on Facebook. Go on these Instagram and what is it? Nextdoor, and go look at people when they post stuff like, say, hey man, does anybody know a good place to clean out my garage? Or
and I said, we're getting back to basics. Get out here, start posting on social media, posting to the Nextdoor neighborhood groups, Facebook neighborhood groups. Matthew Vick, he would say he posts, 2 to 3 times a day. I had a gentleman get upset with me because I was posting too much in Nextdoor, and I was only posting once a day. But he felt like I was spamming the groups and that it was making it making the experience not fun for the rest of the people who were, on the app and trying to see what was going on in the neighborhood. So I've decided to slow that down. I post every other day, maybe every 2 days, maybe once a week. I don't know when it comes to Nextdoor, but we're going to get back to being a little bit more aggressive because I have been on the app and I have seen other junk haulers out there. They do offer other services, but they're focusing in on junk removal because junk removal is an easy business to get into and to try to make a little money on.
Anybody that can recommend, go find those people, post on those pages, post on those things. That's what you do. And go on the Facebook groups and do the same dang thing. The same thing, do it again. Get on Craigslist. Craigslist is not dead. Craigslist is just dormant. Get on Craigslist. I just gave you 3 solutions. Nextdoor. Look for people that need your service. That's guerrilla marketing right there. And you know what? You might not be doing it. Hey, let me ask you this. When was the last time you updated your Google business account? When was the last day you updated your website?
And like I said, guys, we that Google My Business is key, along with the website, along with all of this stuff that we're doing here on the social media side, the YouTube side. When I got my website designed, I remember talking to the owner, the website design, the business owner, and I told him, I said, what do we need to do to get this website ranked on the top page of Google? And he just snickered and he laughed and he said, that's the #1 question everybody wants to know. And he said, it's going to take time. He said, I know that there are a lot of people out there, just like Richard said, there are a lot of people, a lot of companies out there who said they can get you ranked really quick. But he said it takes time for Google to send out their little spiders. This is how he explained it to me, to send out their little crawlers to crawl through the internet, to see what it is that people are looking for, to see what, your business niche is, in order for them to start sending or data to be sent that way to start raising you up the ranks of Google. He told me, he said, to keep doing what I was doing, to keep posting on social media, to make sure that, Google My Business page is active and up and running. And he said, once people start searching for junk removal and all of that type of stuff, then as the awareness grows, as your visibility grows, then you'll start seeing your website rank higher. And I believe now we are on, the top page of Google. I'm not sure if we are one of the top businesses on the first page of Google, but we are on the first page of Google now.
Those are things to do right there, and they're low cost. You're sitting at home, you're watching TV, and you think the phone's going to ring because you're watching TV. Nah, bro. Doesn't work like that, bro. You got to work for those jobs. You got to work for those jobs, man.
And that's a lot of things people don't want to do. Like we want it to be easy. This is a grind, just like social media is a grind. Going out here and being in business for yourself. I'm sorry, man. I'm trying to, with the hat on and the headphones, is getting a little tight on my head. I got a big head, but it is a grind to go out here and make something shake and happen for yourself. You either gotta love it, you got a full-time job, and you're doing this part-time, or however you making it happen for yourself. But you gotta love it. You got to make sure that this is something that you want to do, that you see a future in, that you see that you can, however it is that you are trying to structure your business, that you see it happening. Because when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. But then also when the going gets tough, a lot of people fall off. A lot of people don't want to do it. A lot of people would rather go try to find somebody to give them a paycheck instead of going out here hustling and grinding it out for themselves. Everybody's not made the same. I said it before. Everybody's not meant to be a business owner. Everybody's not meant to be a business owner right away. There's a lot of things that happen within business that, if you're not ready for, can hurt you.
You got to be able to. Damn, I feel like my truck's gonna flip over, man. The wind is blowing that hard. You got to sit there and you got to hustle to get these jobs. Get on Facebook groups. Look for those moms looking for your service. Get on Nextdoor. Look for those moms looking for your service. Get on TikTok. Post some information. Update your Google profile. You know what? Google profile is such a machine. Here's another one for you. Craigslist. Get on Craigslist. Get yourself a little hustle. Hey, maybe you're too expensive. Have you thought about that? Maybe you should drop your prices during the economy that's doing so bad right now. Maybe you should drop your prices. Maybe that'll help you out.
Now, I have thought about that. My minimum. We have our minimum. We have 115. At 115 is usually a yes or no. People want to have you come out, do an estimate, or they say no. Last week there was a lot of no's when I told them what the minimum is. Now, the minimum is a great weeding out process, especially when it's busy. A lot of people want to get things done for cheap. So if they know that this is where you're starting at, then they know that they may have to spend some money. A lot of people will say, oh, let me get some more stuff together to make sure that, I'm going to get the value out of the 115, or if there's going to be a little bit more, they want to make sure they have a bunch of stuff, because I want to take bulk trash. Now, one idea my wife proposed to me, because she likes listening to Richard, because I'm listening to Richard. She did suggest maybe we should, look at, for a month of what she said, a special for 1 month. Maybe we should look at offering $45 or $50 refrigerator removals. Only refrigerators, only people who are trying to get rid of refrigerators, because when they're getting their unit dropped off, if they're buying a new refrigerator unit, usually the Lowe's or whoever they're buying it from, they'll take that other refrigerator for, a price. We've seen Richard, and he's said it before, that he takes refrigerators for $45. He uses them in his haunted houses. We could do the same thing, but I don't have a haunted house, so they will be going to recycling. We're getting, let them build up or whatever, and then get rid of them. We're not going to be holding on to any refrigerators, but that is something. And I told my wife, this is our business. We can do what we want to do. We don't offer discounts to our business, but we do try to offer a high value for when we go out and take care of our clients.
You're too expensive. You know what? Maybe you're the Mercedes-Benz of junk removal. You don't know it, but you are. You don't know it, but you are. And become the Volkswagen or become the Camaro of junk removal. That'll help you out. I just gave you 5 things to do. Website, Google profile, Nextdoor, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Craigslist. Do those things. Hell, I'm updating my TikTok 5 times a week. Who's rich as fuck, he's making all this money. But he's the 10% of junk removal companies that are busy, and everybody else is just slow. Should I start charging $20 per fridge to compete with you? If you want, that's up to you, man. That's up to you. I'll tell you something. Let me tell you something. The other day, okay, I want you to remember. I want to make this comment, Lorsano, okay, Loreno 13. I want you to remember the last time that you were sitting at home with no jobs. Just think about the last time you were sitting at home with no jobs, okay? Think about that day. What day was it? What are we talking about? What day was that you were sitting at home? Was it last week? Was it Monday? When was it? I'm not sure, okay? All right, I'm not sure what day it was. All right? Last Thursday, I picked up 3 refrigerators from 3 different companies. 2 of them in Fort Worth and 1 in Arlington, right next to Fort Worth, about maybe 10 miles out. I made about $195, $190, something like that. I went home. I paid my electric bill. That was $220. All those fridges were gone. All the money I made with those fridges, and I'm using them in my haunted house, so I dropped them off in my haunted house. That took care of my electric bill, almost. See, those fridges might be really, really cheap, but man, they pay bills. I'll tell you that much. Okay, look at that, Lorenzo. I'm picking up a treadmill and doing a small garage clean out today. I have one big job that another junk removal company is helping me out with, okay? One big job. Other than that, that's all I have. And I'm sharing the other job with another junk removal company. But, I mean, these small jobs, these refrigerator pickups for $45, I don't make much money off of them. They're just paying bills. Maybe I spend $10 to go pick up $10 worth of fuel. Well, but I picked them up. I didn't send nobody else to go pick them up. I get this misconception. A lot of people are always like, Ricardo picks up fridges for $45. He's not making any money. Dude, mind your own business.
And that's it right there. Like, you mind your own business. Like, this is our business. Your business is your business. My business is my business. And how he decides to go out and do his thing is how he decides to. It's worked for him for 19 years. I like taking advice from him and seeing if it can apply to my business. Some things work, some things is not going to work. But you don't have to take what he says as, to heart, because it works for him. This is what he's doing to pay his bills. We're going to get up on out of here. This is he got about another 10 minutes left to go in there, but we want to keep the show flowing. We want to keep the show moving. So we're going to get up out of here and start moving on to our next subject. We are business owners, and during the first part of the year, the first quarter of the year, actually probably start thinking about this at the end of the fourth quarter of the year, and that is tax season. Tax season is upon us. So one of the things that happened to me, I think it was in the 3rd year of our business or the 2nd year, I can't remember which one. We were able to get a grant from Spectrum. Spectrum put us on their TV. We had a 15-second ad. I'll show that to you guys in maybe some later shows, but we had a 15-second ad that Spectrum put together for us. No, it wasn't Spectrum. It wasn't Spectrum, was it? It was ABC. We were working with ABC. I was giving them a couple $100 a month to put on their platform. We only did it for a little bit. It was an experiment. I didn't stick with it. I think I stuck with it for about 4 months and then, got up on out of there. But we were able to get a commercial out of that. While we were working with them, Spectrum, because I was part of the El Paso Chamber of Commerce here, Spectrum had this program where they, helping small businesses reach a broader reach the broader community. So they put us on their platform. They gave us a grant. I believe it was like $10,000 for 3 months. We were running this ad. It was 15 seconds. And because the ad wasn't 30 seconds long, we got to split our ad up. So we got to see a lot of business. A lot of people in the baby boomer age called us out. And some of those people still call us out from that ad. And that was a few years ago now. But we were making some money. And then when I had my tax preparer start looking at QuickBooks and taking into account all of the money that we made, and then when it came down to what we owed the government, I was shocked and appalled. Shocked and appalled, baby. I was like, why do we owe the government so much? They didn't go out there and sweat and pass out for this money. So why we got to give the government so much money that I went out and sweated for? I guess roads and things need to be fixed, but now we're starting to see a whole lot of other stuff that money is going to, our tax dollars are going to, that I don't necessarily agree with. But that is a subject for different podcasts for different people to talk about. We're talking about taxes, and I want to get in here and share with you guys because I found that we use QuickBooks, Intuit QuickBooks, and the Intuit CEO. I'm gonna get up here and pull up the screen. Did a talk on Fox News, Fox Business, and he came and brought some interesting points that I want to share with you guys. And we're gonna get in here and listen to what is coming for the tax season in 2026.
We're just over 10 days away from the official start of tax season. Yay, not yay. Uncle Sam begins accepting and processing 2025 income tax returns on January 26th. Filers are already trying to figure out how passage of President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill provisions could complicate the returns. Intuit, the company behind TurboTax, which is used by how many people?
We have about nearly 40 million.
40 million people, is prepping for the onslaught of taxpayer questions by using artificial intelligence across its suite of products. Will that spark a big, beautiful move in the stock, which has kind of endured a bumpy 16%?
You hear that? 40 million people will be using TurboTax to get their taxes done. And I used to use TurboTax when I was working at Disney because it was just straightforward W-2. You plug in the numbers, it tell you what you can and what you if you owed anything or if you're going to get anything back. So pretty simple system. Now that we got our own business, I do have an accountant that goes through our QuickBooks, and she takes care of all of that stuff for us. My wife makes sure that everything is categorized the right way. If anything, once my tax preparer gets into the books and she starts looking, if she sees anything that is amiss or awry, she will let us know and be like, hey, we need to recategorize something. But we use our Intuit QuickBooks along with our tax preparer to get us straight. And it's worth every penny, especially when I don't have to worry about, holding on to a bunch of receipts and different documents to make sure that our tax preparer has everything. Everything is in QuickBooks, and she gets to look at it. We just give her a link or a code or something, and she gets right into there and she can see it.
Lost to start the year. Here in a Fox Business exclusive, Intuit CEO Sasan Goodarzi, who you heard just said 40 million people use it, joining us live. Good to see you. Well, tell me how important it is, the changes that people will see due to the big, beautiful law that was passed, the so-called, and how much more complicated a tax return filing could get.
Yeah, first of all, I would say it's going to be good for consumers because the intent of the changes is to increase the refund. It will be more complicated. And things like no tips on taxes is really going to help many folks, which we think is a good thing. So starting with what's most important, it's going to be good for consumers.
Right. But how many changes?
There's
dozens.
There's dozens of changes. There's probably, a handful that really matter a lot, and folks are going to need help. And this is where, we come in because of all the work that we've done with data, AI, and human intelligence. We can virtually help millions get their tax.
Now, I like that. Human intelligence, HI. We got AI, artificial intelligence, and we got human intelligence. And I believe AI and the humans should be working together to make our jobs easier. Yeah, it might eliminate some jobs because we'll be a little bit more efficient at some things. But for those people who are putting in the effort to learn and how to use AI in whatever field or whatever business they're in, that is going to be key to the future, to the growth of whoever, to the business community. Using AI along with HI, human intelligence.
And their money, more importantly, in their pocket fast.
For the 4 or 5 that you say matter the most, what are some of them?
The biggest one I would say is no tax on tips. Some of the benefits for those that are self-employed. I mean, these things, if you think about those that make a lot of their money on tips and make low income, but not being able to pay taxes, I keep singling that one out because that's a significant one. And I think those are illustrative examples of, I think, the real impact that it's going to have.
And that's huge for especially people who are in the restaurant business, the server business, who unless you're in California or New York, I guess, getting paid $25 an hour to flip burgers or whatever it is that they, got going on out there. But if you are a worker who, gets the majority of your money from tips, I remember working at Disney and going into some of the more affluent or higher scale restaurants. Those cast members were riding around in cars better than the managers, because of the fact that if you bought a certain amount of food or if there was a certain amount of people there, you already, they threw the 18% gratuity right on top of that. And then if you were a type of person who still wanted to leave a little bit extra, you were giving extra money to people who were already getting 18% on top of, whatever large meals that we were getting. So, no tax on tips is huge for people who actually go out here, hustle, grind, and get tips for what they do.
Consumers.
When you look at the changes that you've made, you bring up artificial intelligence. You're partnering with OpenAI to streamline the process, make it a lot easier. How much easier? Tell us what it has changed, what AI has done to tweak and moderate everything that you offer.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite profound and quite dramatic, because for probably 7 years, we've invested a lot in data, AI, and HI, human intelligence, so that the many folks that ultimately use someone to get their taxes done, that we can help them virtually get their taxes done really with very little work, to give them immediate access to their money, and we really be thoughtful about the price that they pay. And so we now have, over a $2 billion business growing nearly 50% that is all about doing people's taxes virtually. And that's all because of data, AI, and HI. And to answer your question specifically, just last year, folks spent 12% less of their time doing their taxes because of all the AI work that we've done.
Well, yes, the promise.
That's good, because, time is money. Sitting around worrying about your taxes, ain't nobody got time for that. Like I said, we put ours to our tax preparer, but if you're just a regular W-2, you only got one W-2, maybe you got two W-2s, but Intuit tax books, Intuit TurboTax made it easy. And I remember doing my own taxes with TurboTax, made it easy to get, just plug and play. And then you got to file your federal taxes for, for free, or for however much, you had to pay in your state, whatever. But TurboTax made things easy. And I'm not a sponsor. They don't sponsor me. They don't give me any type of money. I pay my yearly subscription in January for QuickBooks to make sure that all of our finances that come through the business is accounted for and taken care of, because I don't want to have no troubles with the IRS. I ain't trying to have Uncle Sam breathing down my neck, talking about we owe him some money. No, I want to talk to my tax preparers, limit my tax liabilities, make sure that everything that we can do to minimize our tax, how much we got to give over to the government. That's why we pay for a tax preparer.
Of time saved.
That's right.
So you plug in everything when it comes to filing your taxes, and then the software does the trick?
Yeah, in essence, we have invested heavily in a data platform where we can help ingest your data, whether it's your 1099, whether it's your W-2. You can take pictures of your receipts. You can share how much tips that you made. And we ingest all of that data, and then the platform is able to use a lot of our AI capabilities to figure out what additional questions you need to get answered so we can get your best refund.
Why do you need to declare tips if it's no tax on tips?
Well, this year that'll be different. This year it'll be different.
Right. 2026. My bad.
That's right. But if I look at last year, there's just a lot of data, deductions, credits. Do you have dependents? And those are things that now we do automatically for customers.
I look at your stock, especially considering you had an incredible year last year because so many people used your software. Can this year outpace that? And I ask that because Wells Fargo just downgraded your stock from overweight to equal weight, not because they think it's a bad business, but because they don't think the comps can outdo what you were able to do last year.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, if you just look at the tax business, it's a $35 billion total addressable market. And when you look at our revenue, we're just a few percentage penetrated. And so we had an amazing year last year, but that was really building on 5-6 years of investments, both in the platform and in our go-to-market. And we think we have an amazing opportunity trajectory, not just this year, but for the next 10 years.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about declaring crypto gains.
Yeah.
How is that going to work?
Well, we have built all the capabilities, not only with our experts that will do your taxes for you, but within the platform. And so we can ingest all of the crypto trades that you've made, do all the cost bases for you, and ultimately help you with decisions you need to make to get the best refund, but also educate you on decisions for the coming year so that you can ensure you're just smart with how you pay your taxes.
And I would imagine that accountants are getting a little anxious watching this because people will turn to Intuit. That's your hope, right?
Well, and accountants are important partners of ours because we work with them very closely to actually help serve far larger businesses. And so not only do we help them fuel their growth, but also help the end customer.
Sasan, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, I use my accountant along with QuickBooks. So, as we grow the business, let me get up out of here. Let me get out of the screen. As we grow the business, of course, I'm going to keep an accountant on hand, but we will still utilize our Intuit QuickBooks. We don't use TurboTax. I don't know what formula, what they use over there at the accountant, but when it comes to being a business owner, QuickBooks helps us organize our finances for the business. And even personally, she'll look at, what my wife did, whatever jobs that she worked at, we'll factor all that into when it comes to what we have to pay the government or if the government owes us any money. I personally like to break even. I don't want them to have to give me no money back, and I don't want to have to give them no money, no extra money. I want to work it so that we can break even for the year. I don't want the government holding on to my money, earning interest, and then they take that interest, but then just give me back my money. That's not how I want to do it. So I don't see it being a problem for accountants. It should be a tool. Now, if you are the type of person who just has a W-2 and you want to go into TurboTax and take care of your stuff that way, you could do that. I don't see that. I personally don't see that harming any of the accountants because, accountants are doing business with people who have some serious complications or when it comes to how they need to, manage their money. So that's where the accountants come in. TurboTax, if you just one W-2, two W-2s, easy money right there. Just plug the numbers in. The formulas will kick out what you owe or what you're going to get back. It's easy. All right, folks, we're going to keep this show moving along. We got another segment to go and talk to. We're going to get the screen pulled up here. We are talking about jobs. Landing a job in 2026. Hold on. Stop that. Just landing a job in 2026. The job market slowed in December. My wife left Amazon right before Thanksgiving. Most people have been job hugging, but when it comes to some of these warehouse jobs, I told her, I said, going into these jobs especially as a female, like that's a man's world. I don't care what nobody got to say. Going into the warehouse, dealing with that heavy machinery, dealing with the repetitive motions of just whatever it is you got to do. I worked in the warehouse. We did have women there. They were able to do the job, but I mean, when it came down to it, man, they, a lot of times I'm gonna leave that alone. But trying to find a job in 2026, when it comes to the job market being slow, everybody is waiting for the reset. We talked about junk removal being slow. If we're slow, then I know that the rest of the business community, whether large or small, like everybody's feeling it right now. Even us, we have decided to cut back on a number of products, especially streaming services, different restaurants that we would probably go to if we had a little extra money, things of that nature. So let's get in here, see what this job report or see what they have to say about business being slow, jobs being slow. I got to share this screen. And they have an expert on here, a guy who has been seeing what's going on out here in the business community. Let's see what they got to say.
A new report shows the U.S. economy added 50,000 jobs in December. That number fell short of expectations, fueling concerns of a slowing labor market. Now, with hiring at a standstill and wages stagnant across the country, it's increasingly hard for Americans to remain optimistic about their finances. And that brings us to a segment we like to call In this economy, 1,000 jobs added per month, which represents a significant slowdown from the year prior. Isaiah Hankel is the author of Too Good to Get Hired and is the founding CEO of Overqualified. He joins me now to help unpack this for us. Isaiah, I got to ask you, new year, no offers. What is causing this tightening in this job market?
Great question, Ike. So a lot of it has to do with these new AI hiring systems that are based on predicting who's the most likely to stay at a company for 2 years or more. That's the average 2-year retention rate that employers, they kind of judge whether or not a hire was worth it. They don't leave.
Now, when I started with the Walt Disney World Company, I got my internship. I got my management internship. I had a leader who had been with the company for a little while, who told me, he gave me a piece of advice. He said, hey, if you want to grow faster, you want to stay with the company. He said, the best way to grow is to probably, get you some experience here, then leave. You're going to have to leave, get some experience somewhere else, and then come back. Get to know, get to build some relationships while you're here, be in good standing with people. But ultimately, if you want to grow, if you want to be able to move into higher leadership roles within the company, you might have to leave and come back, get rehired into the company, into a higher role. At that time, I did not take that advice. I ended up staying with the company in the entry level leadership position for 10 years. It took the pandemic to happen for the company to let me go in order for me to go out and find out what I need to do on my own to grow myself. Now, social media, your LinkedIn, your Instagram. If you're going to be out here and you're going to be public on those platforms, I would say you should leverage those platforms to help boost up, your resume. So don't be going out here acting crazy on your social medias, doing all type of dumb stuff, because employers look at that. They look at what what type of representation you are outside of the workplace, and because we want to see if that is going to be a cultural fit for us in our workplace and in our businesses. So you want to make sure that you're taking all of that stuff into account when looking for a job. Let's go back in here and see what they got to say.
Before 2 years. What we've seen happen over the last few years is it's kind of a race to the bottom of who's likely to never leave a company, which means people that are the most skilled, very often people over 40 degrees, people who did everything right, they're having the hardest time getting hired. We've heard the phrase white collar recession, overqualified crisis. That's what's happening in large part today.
Now, you talk about AI and how it's impacting both younger job candidates, but also those with more experience and credentials. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, think of it as like an upside down U, right? So you have people with very little experience getting or trying to get their first entry level jobs, the fresh graduates on one side of the U, right? The upside down U on the lower side. The other side, we have people that are over 40, over 50. They got laid off, former senior vice presidents, right? In the middle, and there's a saying that we often refer to in the job search industry for AI, is the only good age for AI to hire you is 35, right? Right in the middle. So those people seem to be able to get through, but anyone on either side of that upside down U can't get hired. So
now I'm the type person, I went to college. I didn't finish university. I went work for my man, Frank. He gave me some good advice while I was working for him. And then I went right into the Disney, not right into, I had some other jobs, car salesman, other retail jobs, but my only main job was going into the Disney company and learning their culture, learning their philosophy. And that has stuck with me, even into my own business, building my own business, rereading some of the books that I showed you guys earlier. Not rereading, but reading some of the books that I showed you guys earlier and re-ingesting some of the Disney culture that I had been involved in for 10 years. That's where I'm at. That's the framework that I like. I like that framework. I'm going to be structuring my own business when we start getting employees around how I was taught at the Walt Disney World Company when it came to, learning the service basics, safety, courtesy, show efficiency. I hear that they have added some more to that, but when it comes to what I want to do for my business, I like that business model: safety, courtesy, show efficiency, making sure people are trained properly. If the training is not fitting the current life structure or business model, don't be afraid to go in there and change it. That's why I like Disney. I like reading the books on how people made it happen, made it shake in the early days, because we still digging ourselves, digging it out the mud. Whereas we could take what has been done already in the past and we can modify that to our own structure and make it happen for ourselves. He said the AI is, the sweet spot is 35. AI is hiring people in that 35 age range or whatever. I'm looking at being more of a job creator now. There's a couple of people that I've come across that I'm like, man, I wish if I had the resources and the means to pay somebody a salary, I would love to have that person on the team if I had a place to plug them in and to do a particular job. So that's what we're working on now. But we're gonna get back into here because I know I go off onto different tangents and stuff, but I want to share this information with you guys because I do feel it is valuable to our community.
You have people that are the fresh graduates, they're being replaced by AI in large part. And then you have the people that have been laid off for being maybe too expensive, too much of a flight risk. Maybe they'll retire, for example, because they're a little bit older. They're also being boxed out of the job market. And a lot of these jobs, they've been offshored, outsourced as well for similar reasons, because they can combine AI with that offshoring or outsourcing.
Now, what advice do you have for people who are trying to land a job in this market right now?
There's a really good study, and it came from Roman Galperin out of Johns Hopkins, I think in combination with Stanford University, Carnegie Mellon. It looked at these 3 different factors on how you could show an employer that whether you're older or even a fresh graduate, that it could be helpful in terms of getting hired. So number 1 was showing your commitment level, using longevity language. I can see myself here for the rest of my career. If you're talking in theory, it's okay to say that because you don't know what's on the table yet. The second thing is being organizationally focused instead of self-focused, right? So if you're a bit older, don't say, I have 20 years of experience, I've done it already, right? Instead say, I want to be a part of your culture, your mission. And then finally, show the company you apply to that company specifically.
That's to me, that's good advice. That's good advice to have. You want to hear that, you want to be a part of what we got going on at Dumpster Daddy Junk Removal. We want to know that you are here for the long haul. Even if you lie to me, baby. Make me feel good. Ain't that what Halle Berry said on Monsters Ball? Make me feel good. You got to make me feel good. If I'm the employer trying to hire you on into the business, I want to know that you are here for the long haul. You want to be a part of what we got going on. You want to help advance the culture that we are trying to create. Now, being a business owner, I told my wife and I told my dad, I don't know if I shared it. Maybe I did share it on another show, but the whole point of going out here and doing my own thing in business and creating my own business is to have credentials, to show some work for those, Fortune 500 companies, those bigger businesses that maybe one day will want to call us to come in to help them with their business. Now, I told you, I'm not going to be searching for a job. I'm going to make sure that my socials are good. I'm going to make sure that we present very well. So if somebody comes across us and they like what we had, what we built, and they want to see if we can't do the same thing for them or something similar, then we'll be ready for that. I am out here building up myself for the future. I want to go into other companies, other brands, and help see what they got going on and see if we can't help build them. But first, we're going to start with home. We're going to start with Dumpster Daddy Junk Removal. We're going to build up the operation. We're going to build up the social side, and we're going to see what we can make shake from there. This is a resume. This is your digital resume, your social media. If you want to go out here and work in the corporate world, just know that we're going to be checking socials. So if you don't want your socials to be checked, put that thing on private. But if you're going to be out here and you're going to be public, we get to see every aspect of your life, whether it be good or bad. And we will make decisions on if we want you to be a part of our brand, part of our company, based off of what we see on your socials.
They're your top choice for XYZ reasons. Multiple companies can be your top choices for different reasons. They want to see that you don't just want any job, you want their job. That's what the science shows.
All right, pay attention, folks. Pro tips, Isaiah Hankel. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mike.
You got it. Come on.
All right, folks, that is, good advice. We're going to get up on out of here, get out of this screen. We are moving right along. We are about an hour and a half, an hour and 24 minutes into this show. And I want to keep it going. We got 2 more segments that we want to get to. We still talking about jobs. We are still talking about education and what we can do to go out here and better ourselves. One of the things that I wish I would have did differently as a young man, but I put pressure on my parents. I wanted to go to university. I wanted to follow my friends. I wanted to be a part of that crowd. When I should have taken that time, stayed at home, saved my parents some money, some heartache, and went to the JC, the junior college. Because what I learned after going to university and then going to the JC is that the same classes are offered that are offered at the university, are offered at the JC, but are offered at the JC for way cheaper than what you would pay for at the state university. And the same classes that you can get at the JC, you can stay at home, save a bunch of money, go ahead, get that 2-year degree or finish up whatever classes, and then you can transfer into a university if you so choose to. And it seems like that is the route that a lot of young people are going. And they're also moving into some of the skilled trades. Like I said in the last show, going into HVAC, going into electricity, going into plumbing. A lot of these companies that are building these huge data centers need skilled trade workers. And a lot of kids are going into that. And I applaud you all for that. But a lot of us, a lot of children, a lot of kids are foregoing the 4-year university. And I'm gonna go ahead, pull up the slide. They are foregoing the 4-year university to go to either skilled trades or going into the junior colleges, which is putting a strain on the universities, which I feel like they need to feel the pinch anyway, because they are astronomically crazy when it comes to their pricing for going to these universities, to come out only to find out sometimes that your degree is not worth a thing, because what you got your degree in is already irrelevant to what is happening out here in the real world. So real world experience is really good. Let's go ahead, get in here, share this screen. Oh, wrong one. Share this screen with you guys. All right, finally got it. All right, let's get in here and see what we got. We're gonna spend about 10 minutes on this, giving my commentary, sharing my thoughts, and hearing what they got to say.
Away from 4-year degrees in favor of certificate.
Whoop, slow it down.
Students have been moving away from 4-year degrees in favor of certificate and associate degree programs. Enrollment in bachelor's degree programs grew just 0.9%, while enrollment in undergraduate certificate and associate degree programs grew by 1.9% and 2.2% respectively. This is a trend I've been watching for years, but there are some key changes this year that make it even more striking. First, the cost of education. Community college is significantly less expensive. At 2-year public schools, tuition and fees averaged $4,150 this year. At 4-year in-state public colleges, the cost rises to $11,950. At 4-year private colleges, the average cost is $45,000.
Now, I told my wife, I said, hey, if the Lord blesses us with children and we're able to, financially afford for them to go to whatever school that they can go to, they're going to have to show me something. Yeah, I'm not from Missouri, but I always say that I'm not from Missouri, but you're going to have to show me something. If you're going to play around, I played around. My dad, he still allowed me to go away to university, but those are lessons learned. I played around, wasted, thousands of their dollars, only for me to come back home to go to the junior college and find out that, hey, they got the same classes here that I could have took here, saved my parents some money, got a little bit more maturity underneath my belt instead of trying to go out, be grown, living in the dorms and figuring out that way. Now, when we have children, I said, they're going to have to show me something. They're going to have to show me some academic prowess. They're going to have to do take care of business, and if they don't, they'll be going to the 2-year university if I got to pay for it. Now, if they get them some scholarships, working on academic scholarships, athletic scholarships, then, the world is your oyster. Pick which one you want to go to. Just know that if you got to come home and daddy got to pay for it, you going to the JC if you're not showing me something. And you're definitely not going to no private school if I got to pay for it, unless I'm, a deca millionaire. But that's all, as adults, and if we have children, those are all things that are on our mind when it comes to making sure that our children have the best opportunities available to them. But they also going to have to work for some of those opportunities. It's not just going to be given to them. They're going to have to earn some things so that they can feel what it's like to go ahead and accomplish things on their own without having necessarily mom and dad just financially backing every decision, good or bad, on their own. They're going to have to figure it out. This is what I've learned as an adult, what I've learned growing up through my childhood with my dad and my parents, my mom and dad, who helped me, navigate these waters. Now that we know better, like my grandma would say, we do better.
That's a big difference. Students are also wary of taking on so much debt. More than 42 million Americans hold student loans, with outstanding debt exceeding $1.6 trillion. Among borrowers, 77% report that student debt is a huge burden, and 63% say that their education was not worth the impact that debt had on their overall well-being.
Yeah, because once you get out of school, they give you 6 months. You got a 6-month leeway. If you come out of school and you got, let's just say you got $40,000 in debt for a bachelor's degree. You went into debt, you got that bachelor's degree, you come out, you got 6 months to find a job, and they want that with the interest starts, they want their payments 6 months after. So, you barely got a job, you probably got a car. And if you got a car, you probably got a rent or something to pay. So paying $400, $500, $600, $700, $800 a month to pay your student loans back is going to hurt. There's going to be some sacrifices need to be made on some other ends. Maybe you can't get a car. Maybe you have to live with roommates, things of that nature. But, taking out huge student loans is a problem. My dad works in pharmacy. He said that, he was a tech. He said that the students that came in that, were doctors and, taking out all these loans, they were taking out $200,000 worth of student loans just to get this degree, only to come out to maybe find a job in the degree program that they got, but still not being able to pay off those student loans right away. It is a burden. It is a very much so burden. And, it causes stress for a lot of people, especially those who maybe couldn't find a high paying job to pay all of their bills that they have occurred.
Some college graduates are also finding it harder to land jobs, as a portion of entry-level positions are increasingly displaced by artificial intelligence.
AI is one of many factors that is impacting the job market currently. Of course, there's a lot going on with the economy. There's a lot going on with the federal administration at the moment. And then AI, of course.
Yeah, one thing they told us, man, hey, we always heard a little bit growing up, get you one of them government jobs, get you one of them good government paying jobs, they'll never go away. But it depends on the administration. If you got an administration who wants to run the government like a business and you want to run it efficiently and you want to run small, then all of those unnecessary jobs, all of the bloat gets cut out. And that's what we saw this past year. When this new administration got in here, they started making a bunch of changes. A lot of people didn't agree with, but it is not the government's job to subsidize your lifestyle. We got to go out and figure out how it is. We got to get to it ourselves and make things happen for ourselves. We can't be dependent on these government jobs, and we definitely you can't even depend on some of these corporate jobs. You got to go out here, figure out how to play the game and make things happen for ourselves, make things shake for ourselves. We're still learning, we're still doing it, but I find that being my own man, my own business owner, making things shake for myself is the best way to go for me. If I go back into the corporate world, it's going to be because I fit a need that they needed me to come in and fix, but I'm not necessarily looking for them to help me sustain my lifestyle.
Is emerging and changing and redefining what jobs will look like, especially for early talent. So AI certainly is playing a role in the experience many of our students are facing.
The current administration is also incentivizing short-term training programs. Under President Donald Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill passed by Congress last July, students enrolling in workforce training programs at community colleges are now eligible for Pell Grants, a form of aid awarded solely based on financial need. Some experts I talked to told me that this is especially valuable for students concerned about the cost of schooling. However, the shift toward short-term programs could add to revenue strain at four-year colleges.
Good. They need to feel the strain. Four-year universities need to feel the strain. Just like we got to make changes to our budgets when things happen, when shifts in the market happen, then it should happen the same way for these college universities. To pay all this money to go to these universities, whether prestigious or not, is absolutely ridiculous when it is putting young people or older people, whoever decides to go back to college and go to these universities, in a financial bind just to say we got a degree from so and so and so and so. It doesn't make sense to me, and they should feel the financial pressure, and they should start making adjustments to what it costs to go to their universities, to go to their schools, and get a degree in something that may or may not be relevant once you get out.
Worsening enrollment declines and rising costs. This isn't just bad news for colleges. It could also hurt the job market over time. While college graduates are currently struggling to find work, that may change. And it could be even more important to have a four-year degree going forward. Georgetown University projects that by 2031, 42% of jobs will require at least a bachelor's degree.
I don't agree with that. Because a lot of jobs now you can do, you don't need a degree. You're not going out to be a doctor. If you're going to be a doctor, working on people, opening up hearts, opening up, body parts, and, putting things back together, then yeah, go ahead. You need to get that degree. You need to also do your residencies and take care of that and things along that nature. A lawyer, to go out and be a lawyer, you need to go get a degree. But to come out here and go into business, my shoe boss Frank, when I told him I was dropped out of school, we got to come back home, I got bills to pay, racked up some debt, played around, didn't do what I needed to do, didn't take care of business while up there. He told me, he said, man, what were you going to school for? I said, oh man, I was going in for like business management or something like that. And he was like, man, he said, I got a master's degree in that. He said, you don't need to go to school for that. I can give you what I know and what I've learned, and you just stick with me, you get my master's degree. So that's where I'm at with it. Like, there are certain things that you don't necessarily need to go to school for to learn how to do. You can learn it in the field itself. Now, I guess if you want, if those companies value those degrees and they want to put, some type of a entry level, what we call it, a barrier for you to get in, and that degree is needed, then more power to them. Maybe they won't have the best candidate. They'll have the best book smart candidate, but they won't have the best candidate in there who knows how to navigate the waters when it comes to working with teams, when it comes to getting projects done, when it comes to just being an overall cultural fit for the business, just because they got a degree. But I could be biased, but I don't necessarily think that having a 4-year degree is going to make or break these businesses.
In 2024, about 25% of U.S. jobs required at least a bachelor's degree for entry.
All right, folks. So there you go. You got that. You see that there. I shared my thoughts on that. I don't necessarily think it is a necessary thing to go out right now and get a 4-year degree. I don't see how these universities who have you spend all of this money to go there, how it benefits you as a person. Maybe it benefits a company, but if they're not hiring, it doesn't matter. I saw people who when maybe they've moved on since I've left, but I saw people with master's degrees, bachelor's degrees, and I didn't have one, and we all had the same job. Now, maybe they were considered for other positions because, like my boss told me, he said, man, if you just go get a degree in dog walking just so that you know how to complete something. I was like, why do I have to go into debt to show you that I can complete something or that I can stick with something? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. But that's what some of these people value. That's what some of these companies want. And that's where it is with it. But we're going to keep it moving. That's where I'm at with it. We're going to keep it moving, though. I got a whole soapbox that I can get on about that, but that's not what we are here for. We are here to give you guys a good show, give you guys some good entertainment, also while sharing some of our thoughts. Like one of my favorite content creators say, we got to put the medicine inside of the candy. All right, folks, getting ready for this last slide. All right, and if you made it this far, I got to keep saying this. I'm gonna start putting it into like every time I go to a new slide, like, comment, and subscribe to us. If you are liking this content, if you're liking what we're putting together for you guys, and you want to get on the ground level, we are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers here at the Dumpster Daddy LLC channel, where we show you guys this show. We put on display El Paso and what we're doing out here for jobs and junk removal. But we got one more segment to get to. We got to get to some money. We got to talk about some money again. Pull up my slide here. Streaming price hikes. And I told you guys, as me and my wife are cutting back because, as I said, she lost her job. Junk removal has been slow. We are looking at ways to cut cost within our own business and personal lives. Excuse me. And one of the ways that we have decided to do that is to cut back on some of these streaming apps. I am a fan of YouTube, but I get more value out of YouTube. And hopefully once we get the YouTube channel monetized and ready to go, YouTube can pay for itself. I'd rather have YouTube pay for itself than get rid of it. But a lot of these other streaming apps, Netflix, Spotify, Audible, like all of these different apps that we have available to us that consume so much of our time and money, we are looking at getting rid of. So let's get into this segment here. Let's see what they got to talk about. The streaming wars, the price increases, and everything that's happening here. I'm gonna share my thoughts with you guys, give you guys what I think and what we are doing here in our own personal lives and business. Let's get to it.
In this morning's Money Watch, it's about to get more expensive. To use Spotify, and that's not the only streaming service raising fees. Kelly O'Grady is here to tell us about so-called streamflation. Kelly.
Now, I'm not a Spotify person. I know that they have audiobooks on there as well as music, and I think they do they do podcasts? They do podcasts as well. This is why I stick with YouTube, because YouTube, I get the YouTube app itself, and then I also get the YouTube music. If I want to listen to some music, which I do, like listening to music. I'm old school. For me, old school, 90s hip hop, 90s R&B, a lot of stuff that I grew up listening to that I still listen to today. And there are some new artists out there that I like to play, but for the most part, YouTube gives me the best value for my money.
What's going on?
Hey there, Nate. Well, look, this price hike, it wasn't exactly a surprise. I mean, Spotify had already raised prices in Britain and Switzerland last fall, so this was expected. But for many consumers, it still stings.
Boomers are all about money. Gen X is like, is it all about money? Millennials are like, where is the money? And Gen Z is like, what is money?
No matter what generation you're from, if you're one of Spotify's millions of paid subscribers in the U.S., get ready to pay more. Beginning next month, the company's individual premium plans will jump from $11.99 to $12.99 a month. The Duo family and student plans will also increase. In a statement, the company said the move would help it, quote, continue offering the best possible experience and benefit artists.
You got to understand, this is a business, so they can raise their prices. If the community, if the clientele, if the customers are going to pay for it, then, if they see value in it, then yeah. I remember YouTube raised their prices years ago. Like, they've been raised their prices. Now, when it comes to certain applications that I need, I'm considering right now, I have Microsoft, what is it? The Microsoft One or OneDrive or whatever. I need the Microsoft programs. I need Word. I need PowerPoint and Excel. I need those programs because I have a bunch of work on them. But the yearly subscription, they went up. I think it was I got the bill. It was $140, and I haven't paid it yet. And I went onto my computer and I tried to pull up, Word, and I couldn't access any of my documents. So now I'm looking at, and the way they sell you these subscriptions, especially when it comes to like Microsoft Word and all that type of stuff, is that you get all of the updates. So now I'm considering just buying the program itself, because I don't see me getting rid of my computer for at least a couple of years, 2-3 years. And I have my my other computer that I gave to my wife once we got the MacBook. So now I'm considering just buying the program outright so that I have it installed on my devices that need it instead of doing the yearly subscription, because they keep raising these prices. And I don't necessarily want to pay the price, but I know that once I decide to get a new computer, or we upgrade this one, then I'm going to have to buy that all over again when it, so, it's just decisions that need to be made. Hold on to the computer, hold on to the program that I bought for it, or buy a new computer and, keep upgrading the computer and just stick with the subscription. I am tired of paying for subscriptions that are unnecessary. I don't think that Microsoft is a necessary subscription. Something like we talked about earlier when it comes to QuickBooks, that's a necessary subscription. I also have Adobe. That's a monthly subscription. I'm looking at getting rid of Adobe too, but I like it because I can post my socials to multiple platforms using it. But now I'm starting to see that there are other programs out there that offer the same service that I don't have to pay nearly as much money for as like I do for Adobe. But let me get back in here, man. Like I said, I'm gonna get through this. Try not to talk too much through it, but I can't guarantee that.
I think they are raising prices in part to kind of build a sustainable, profitable business, which has eluded them for a while.
Alex Weprin, senior editor for The Hollywood Reporter, says it's part of a growing trend with streamers, including Peacock, Disney Plus, and Paramount Plus.
Got rid of all those. Got rid of all of them. And the one, I like shows on Peacock and I like shows on Paramount. Disney, I like it for the nostalgia of, like, I want to go back and, watch The Great Mouse Detective, watch some of the old cartoons, get some of the old, Star Wars and things like that. But I'm going, now that I have upgraded my storage capacity to where I can hold thousands and thousands of videos, and, I think it said it can hold 10,000 hours worth of, streaming videos, not streaming videos, but movies and things like that. I'm going to look at seeing how I can start owning my own copies again, because I'm really tired of streaming. I love my music. I want to own copies of it, pull it up when I want to listen to it, and not necessarily have to pay for a subscription. So that is where I'm at with it now, but let's get back in here.
Also raising prices.
Everybody wants to get in the streaming business.
There's no question that we're seeing streamflation. A lot of them, when they launched a few years ago, they launched at artificially low prices to try and get people to subscribe, and they're now beginning to catch up.
In fact, new government data reveals streaming subscriptions saw a nearly 20% jump in prices from November to December, outpacing most goods like coffee and beef. And with many sports leagues like the NFL and NBA licensing their rights to streamers, a downshift seems unlikely.
The most popular content, which increasingly is sports, are the things that people are coming to them for. There is a natural limit to how much they will pay ultimately, but we haven't hit it yet.
I cut myself off from the core of sports. Now, I love my Bears. I love the Chicago Bears. I watch the games. There was 1 year, maybe 2 years, where I didn't buy the NFL package when we was living in when we moved here to El Paso, and a couple of years when we were in Orlando. But for the most part, ever since I left home, left Chicago, left the Chicagoland area, I have paid and found a way to pay for the NFL package so that I can watch out of market games, so I could watch the Bears games. But as I have gotten older, I have weaned myself off from needing to watch sports. I don't really need it. I watched the Bears game last night. We lost to the Los Angeles Rams, but I'm not heartbroken. I'm not upset. And I mean, I'm not going to say that I don't really care, but I don't care as much as I used to when it comes to sports, because I saw how much money it was taken out of my pocket in order to watch a losing season, in order to watch a team that wasn't that good. So when it came to me having to pay for the what was it called? The NFL Sunday ticket, I don't really need that no more. So now, with YouTube, they gave me a hell of a deal on it, or I would not have bought Sunday ticket. And I tried my best to take advantage of it more this year, instead of just watching Bears games, because my wife, when she was working at Amazon, she was working on Sundays. So I did try to watch other games, but I am more focused on content creation and all of the equipment. I said we spent about $10,000 on all of the different pieces of equipment that I have to create content. So I am out here now working on doing my own thing. And when it comes to all of the rest of these subscriptions and things like that, I'm going to the library to get books. I don't care no more. I don't want to watch your shows because I don't want to pay $50 a month for 3 different streaming applications, HBO, Hulu. And I know that they're trying to bundle them all, you know, just like we did or they did with cable. But I am over, hold on, who's this? But I am over paying for all of these different subscriptions and things when it comes to streaming services.
And we should note that Paramount Plus is owned by Paramount Skydance, which is the parent company of CBS News. When it comes to Spotify's new pricing, it's going to make it the most expensive music streaming platform, and that would be ahead of Apple Music, Tidal, and YouTube Music.
All right, Kelly, so we can't stop these streaming services from raising their prices. What can we do to cut the costs?
Okay, a few things. If you can stand watching ads, which I absolutely hate, you can go for the ad-supported version.
And I hate ads. And if I'm gonna pay money, any kind of money, I don't want to pay for ads. So then I'm the type of person who's going to look at the next tier to go ad free. And then when I see the prices for the ad free, I don't really want to pay that. So then I don't want to pay money to watch commercials, and I don't want to pay the extra amount of money that it's going to take to go ad free. So then where am I at? I am at leaving it alone and just missing out. I don't have fear of missing out. I like shows on Paramount. What was that show? Landman, that was good. We got Amazon. I got Amazon, the streaming app, and I like Fallout on that. But if we got to cut that and it's got to go away, it goes away as well. I don't have fear of missing out on these shows. People like to talk about them on the internet anyway, so you know it can get spoiled. I get spoiler alerts. But yeah, we cutting out all this stuff.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So I got a few more for you.
All right.
Go through and audit your streaming services, right? Everything's on auto pay, so you kind of forget. So be realistic. Are you actually even opening that app? Are you watching things? If you're not, maybe put it on pause. You can also look for bundling options like Hulu and Disney Plus.
Okay.
If you have the budget room, you can pay annually, and it's a lower monthly fee if you pay it all at once. And then call your mobile provider and your internet provider. They often offer, a yearly free trial. So
I would have loved to have been in the marketing meetings of these.
Yep, they offer free trials. One thing my wife does a lot is she gets, I don't know how she finds it, but she'll find, and it'll be with the ads. It'll be ad supported, but she'll find a way to get Hulu free for a month. She'll find a way to get Paramount or something like along those lines free for a month. We have never went to our mobile provider and saw if they had any offers or stuff like that. I don't really care. Like I said, I'm over it when it comes to the streaming, but I know that she likes to watch her shows, but like I said, I'm diving more into the books. I'd rather go to the library. When I lived in Orlando, downtown Orlando, had a big, beautiful library. It was like 4 stories long or tall with different areas for, different needs. Had a tech area, had a podcasting area, had study areas, and then just a plethora of books. And they also delivered books. If they didn't have something in stock and it came in later, or somebody had it out, as soon as it came in, you could have a delivery service deliver the books right to your doorstep. They let you know when they got there. It came in a brown little paper bag, and you tore the bag open, they wrapped it up, and you get the bag open. There's your book. You get to use it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, however long you rented it out for, and then you had to take it back. But I like that service. I want to go back to things that I was doing like that when I was in monk mode, and that's something I'm gonna talk about. I got it for a next segment for later on in the week, but we go in monk mode in 2026.
Companies 5 or 10 years ago when they told us, cut the cord, get rid of cable. This is what you need. And then some dude was like, and in 5 years, we're just going to keep raising prices and they're not going to have any option other than us.
Well, I can tell you, I was actually in those meetings.
Okay, yes, when you worked at
because I
Disney.
was at Disney and we were putting together Disney Plus, and everyone was like, I don't want to pay cable. I'm not watching all these channels. So we all did this to ourselves. That's exactly why all these things started in the beginning.
That is true. We did it to ourselves, especially when it comes to, the cost of cable, and we cut the cord. I had cable for a second. when I was at Disney. I had cable for a second, got rid of it altogether, found out that I didn't need it because I was spending so much more time at work. I really wasn't watching the TV. And then when it came to the streaming apps, I was like, oh man, I'll get Netflix and this, that, and the other. And Netflix at the time was probably like $10 a month. And it was a good value. But then once again, like I can't watch all of these shows. I don't have time to put in to watch and binge watch all of these different shows. So after a certain amount of time, when I felt like my brain was turning to mush, I had to get off of those streaming apps. Even when it comes to YouTube, I don't necessarily watch YouTube for entertainment. I'm not trying to be entertained on YouTube, I'm trying to learn something. So I spend time watching different people who's talking on biblical teachings. I watch people who gives information on anything that I want to learn out there. Like I said, I have my own home cloud, and I wouldn't have found that out if it wasn't for I was influenced. Yes, I was, but I wouldn't have found that out if I wasn't watching other content creators on YouTube who was having the same issues that I was having. And that issue was filling up your computer or filling up your SSD drives with all of the content that you're trying to create, and then you're deleting stuff because you're running out of space. That is why I decided to, do what I do. And now when it comes to, like I said, the streaming and all this stuff, I want to own hard copies. I want to own hard copies of or digital hard copies of my music, my favorite artists, and then my own favorite shows and movies, instead of having to pay somebody to watch them. HBO got rid of a lot of their content when they decided to do whatever they're doing. They got rid of Westworld. I was a Westworld fan, and they just deleted it. I can't find it nowhere. They deleted it off their platform. I hear that there are some ways to get it through other ways, through other means, but I haven't figured that out yet. But I want to own my own hard copies of things, and that's where I'm at with it now, folks. But all right, folks, if you made it this far, like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on what we are doing out here, what we are sharing with you guys. I am going to call it. We've been in here for 2 hours, almost 2 hours, 1 hour and 56 minutes. And that is about what I want to do when it comes to this show. I want to give you guys a good 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours, if we got something good to talk about. Give you guys some good entertainment, put some medicine inside of the candy, just have some fun talking to you guys and sharing my thoughts. But all right, guys, this is all I got for you on this episode, episode here. We're going to get up on out of here. I got some different runs to make. Going to start a day in the life vlog that we're going to start putting out for next week. Dumpster Daddy, we out of here.